Hey there, Nopenguin here. Today is a special day. As you know, I have made many penguin decks over the years, but I have yet to show every single penguin deck I have made. Far, far, far from it. And today is probably the best example of that. Because today, I am going to showcase a penguin deck that I have had for years now. And I was planning it to be the first penguin deck on my return to this channel, but I always kept pushing it off. That is, until now. I feel like this deck has gotten to a point where I do not want to wait a single bit longer, because this deck already lost some of its power, as I used to use Verte in this deck, but we no longer have it. Fearing I will lose more of this deck, I decided this is the perfect time to finally bring you Fluffal Shaddoll penguins. I'm seriously gonna need you to trust me on this. But with that, let's get into the list. And here it is. You are looking at a deck that has been years in the making, one that I have updated time and time again. You are looking at Fluffal Shaddoll penguins. Fluff pen dolls, if you will. Shad fluff pens, if you will. I don't care what you call it, this is the deck. Fluffal Shaddoll Penguins is a hard go second deck, and it is a deck that can break boards in OTK insanely well. Like I said before, this deck has gone over many revamps over the years. During its early life, Shaddoll was actually the main engine I used in the deck. Sometimes I leaned a bit more heavily into the penguin end, but currently, the Fluffals have taken front and center position. And that's absolutely due to the fact that the Fluffal engine can just pump out so much advantage, and with the current state of the format and all the different cards that I need to worry about, getting all that advantage is more important than anything else. This deck excels at getting its fusion summons off, and more importantly, getting link material into play, which helps when we want to break boards and go into access code. This genuinely could have been video 7 or 8 of this deck had I been making this time and time again. But that's enough talking about lost content. Today we are looking at it at its current state. And who knows, if something changes, I may even visit this deck again. It may only have 6 penguin cards, but goddammit, this is a penguin deck. Now, let's get into the card by card. To start us off, of course, we have me, and our other penguin monster doesn't have any effect that bounces to the hand. Nopenguin is here exactly for link material. Importantly, Nopenguin special summons itself from the graveyard whether the penguin card is on the field or in the graveyard for its activation. So we can use Fluffal Penguin's graveyard effect to special summon out Nopenguin. Speaking of triple Fluffal Penguin, the star of this deck. During your main phase, special summon a Fluffal from your hand except itself, and when it's used as a fusion material for a Frightful monster, you can draw 2, discard 1, because again, this deck does so much advantage gaining, drawing you into your routes, drawing you into your Shaddoll fusion. It is fantastic. Next we have 2 Shaddoll Dolphin, our other water Fluffal. You'll soon see the Toy Vendor completely runs this deck, and this just abuses Toy Vendor while getting links into the graveyard to such an insane degree. Discard Bear to set Toy Vendor, banish Wings and another Fluffal monster while you control Toy Vendor, draw a card, destroy that Toy Vendor, draw another card, and when Toy Vendor is destroyed, you get to add another card. It is so much advantage. I love this deck. Next we have 2 Edge Imp Chain. Anyone who's played against Brandon knows exactly what this card is doing here. But we're also playing Edge Imp Scythe. This is a hand trap polymerization for Fluffal monsters, so you can play this during your opponent's turn to interrupt their plays. Next we have our tiny Shaddoll engine, 1 Dragon and 1 Genius. This is to allow us to use our Shaddoll fusion. We can send both of these to go into App Cologne to pop a spell and negate 2 cards, one with Genius and one with App Cologne. This also gives us access to Shaddoll Construct if we need to pitch the wings. Then we have Magician's Souls. This engine is amazing in this deck for several reasons. Most importantly, you end up with a lot of continuous spells like Toy Vendor that you can send to the graveyard for drawing. And sending Toy Vendor off Magician's Souls still allows Toy Vendor to get its effect. It is a ridiculous card. Then of course 2 Illusion of Chaos, Toy Vendor. I've been talking a lot about this. Discard a card, draw a card. If it's a Fluffal monster, you get to keep it, and then special summon a monster from your hand if you want. Otherwise, you send it to the graveyard. This is fine because we have a lot of cards that really like the graveyard, so even if it's not a Fluffal, it's fine. Patchwork, you've played Brandon, you know what I'm talking. Triple Forbidden Droplets. Very similar to Souls, this is a great way to break the board while setting up your graveyard with things like Vendor, like Chain, like Nopenguin. It's great. Speaking of penguins, Royal Penguin Gardens. We played 2 of them. After adding your Fluffal Penguin or Nopenguin, just stays on the board and works really well for souls or Forbidden Droplet to break boards. 2 Foolish Burial Goods to send the toy vendor and 1 other card. Double Polymerization. 2 Shaddoll Fusion. If your opponent controls the monster summoned from the extra deck, you get to dump the cards from your deck. It is great and an amazing way to start your turn. 1 Frightfur Fusion. Banish cards from your graveyard, special summon a monster out, attack for game. Frightfur Repair. Sometimes I get stuck in a situation where I need to get an extra Fluffal out of my hand, so if I send it to the graveyard with Foolish Burial Goods, I can then banish it to special summon a monster from my hand. Then we have Double or Nothing, and Call by a Grave. Now we're just going to quickly go through the extra. We have 1 Relinquished Anima for souls, 1 Cross Sleep, honorary Fluffal, 3 different Charmers. This is just a way for us to, depending on what our opponent is playing, use any of our monsters to get into this and hopefully summon out Celine, which will then get us access code. We have the Utopia double package. Any monster that has 2000 or less attack on your opponent's side of the field becomes an OTK if you can work through their negation. Shaddolls, we have App Cologne, negate a monster on summon. Construct, you get to dump a Shaddoll from your deck, and when battling opponent's monster to special summon from the extra deck, you can destroy it. Our Frightfur package, we have 1 Kraken, double attacks and it turns itself to defense position. You could also send a monster your opponent controls to the graveyard. Sabertooth is a monster reborn, but you need to use one of your Frightfur cards to go into it. And Whale, this is our interruption and the thing we summon off of Scythe. When fusion summoned, you can destroy a card on both players' fields, so you'll target itself and a card you want to destroy. Scythe will then banish itself from the graveyard to protect the Whale, which then just allows us to have an extra body come the next turn. Also very importantly, you could target a fusion monster you control to send a Frightfur card from your deck or extra to the graveyard and gain the attack. This is really good for targeting your Kraken, sending the Sabertooth, and making the Kraken's double attack even better. Finally, Guardian Chimera. This card is insane going second and there's no reason not to play it. Once again, this deck has gone through so many changes over the years, but this is the version I want to bring to you today. Enough talking about it, let's get into the replay. Our match today is up against p.u.n.k Therion Adventurer. They have literally everything in hand, sending the Water Enchantress for the effect, getting Zeaman out, getting the Denote out, they have everything. Go into the Chaos Ruler, and again, they have the Water Adventure in the graveyard already, so once they activate this, they're going to go ahead and grab the dragon, send the rest of the graveyard, Water Enchantress, go ahead and grab them the Rite of Armaseer. They have not used their normal summon effects, and they also are playing Illegal Knight of all things. Illegal Knight, of course, the summoner will let it grab the Draco back, so they could go ahead and grab the Griffin Rider. Draco back, summon itself back, Griffin Rider, go ahead, special summon itself. They summon Barone, so we have 2 negates to work through. Let's see if we can do this. I luckily have the Droplet, so I'm going to go ahead and bait out the goods with this and go for Droplet, negating both of their negates, and it is open season. I'm going to send the vendor. I'll go ahead, add the bear. Bear will activate its effect, getting us Toy Vendor. Toy Vendor will activate its effect. We'll use Wings, banishing the bear, drawing. Oh, it's so good. We have the Double or Nothing, but we did draw into the Illusion of Chaos, so we could tuck it, go into Fluffal Penguin, summon the Dolphin, go into the Utopia double, summon the Utopia, grabbing that Double or Nothing from the deck. We'll go ahead and attack, negate the effect, Double or Nothing, we get an additional effect, and that is game. And that is the replay for today. Only one just because I really wanted to get this deck out. I could have gone so much further with that hand. I still had the Shaddoll Fusion, I still had extenders, but I decided I already got the Utopia double out, let's just end game. But that's a really wonderful thing about this deck. There are so many cards that would make great negation targets. But man, I love this deck. This deck is so near and dear to my heart, and I apologize for taking this long to bring it to you. For everyone in the comments that's been asking why I haven't used Fluffal Penguin, you're welcome. If you'd be interested in seeing how this deck evolves over time, let me know. I may make a follow-up when that time comes. But with that, that is the end of the video. Like if you like, subscribe if you want to see more. I am Nopenguin, Fluffal Fanatic, signing out.